If you follow the NBA, I'm sure most of you probably know by now that LaMarcus Aldridge and the San Antonio Spurs have agreed to part ways, and Aldridge will be moved before the trade deadline, likely to a contending team, given that Aldridge is in the later stages of his career and on the decline. He's 35 years old, has played over 1,000 career NBA games, a 7-time All-Star, a 5-time All-NBA player. He's had himself a very nice career, there's no question about that. But like every NBA player, even the greats, there comes a time where you start to decline just due to father time. Now, the reason I bring this up is because I received some comments and messages from Bulls fans, not a lot, but some. You know, this isn't like an Andre Drummond type situation where people are mentioning it over and over. But for some fans, you know, the Bulls said that we need to go after LaMarcus Aldridge. And to that question, I ask, why? And that's what I want to talk about in today's video. So what's going on, everyone? You're listening to Bulls Central here. Hope you're all doing well. Before I get into today's topic, the Bulls are taking on the Miami Heat tonight in a back-to-back game. Going to be a lot of back-to-back games for the remainder of the season, given everything has been compacted and consolidated into a short time frame. And for the Heat, Coach Erik Spoelstra has confirmed both Bam Adebayo and Avery Bradley will be out for this game, which I guess you could say is a bit of luck for the Bulls, although we thought that was going to be the case with no Embiid and Simmons, that was going to be a fortunate thing for the Bulls last night, and we all know how that turned out. So in a way, I almost wish Bam was playing, just because I feel like the Bulls almost mentally feel more pressure that they need to win these types of games when they're playing a team that is shorthanded, but that's likely just me overanalyzing the situation. Either way, I hope the Bulls come out with a much needed sense of urgency and vigor for this game and not playing down to their competition thinking that it's going to be easy with no Bam. They do still have Jimmy Butler and many other solid rotational pieces, but anyway, I'm looking forward to the game and hopefully the Bulls will be able to bounce back from last night's disappointing effort. But let's get back into the topic at hand, because I think as Bulls fans, even myself included, we can get very reactionary to what is going on in the moment with our team. I think the most common theme I see, which I agree with, is the Bulls need a center, a true center. I like Wendell, but he's not a fit for that type of role. He's undersized, he doesn't have much of a post-up game, and more often than not, other starting centers are able to manhandle him in the paint. I've said it since he really entered the league. He's better as a power forward, and the Bulls ultimately are going to have to decide between him and Lauri. But in any case, I think based on the game we saw last night, that need became even more evident. And with the Spurs making LaMarcus Aldridge available for a trade, a big man, a former All-Star who is still serviceable, why not get him? Well, the reason LaMarcus Aldridge doesn't make sense for this team is for a host of reasons. First of all, he's not a center. I know he's played center here and there, but like Wendell, he's more positioned as a power forward, and that's because he can shoot mid-range jumpers and stretch the floor a bit. He doesn't rebound all that well for his size, not anymore anyway. He did in the peak of his prime, and that's something the Bulls greatly need. He doesn't shoot the three ball all that well, which maybe isn't that necessary given the Bulls have good three-point shooters, but still something to take into consideration. But more importantly, he's 35. He's going to be 36 this summer and is clearly a shell of the player that he used to be. He's on a $24 million contract, which is expiring, so there's an advantage of that. But if you make a trade for him, you're likely going to have to give up assets and have him walk for nothing in free agency this offseason because he's old and doesn't fit our timeline. And quite frankly, he doesn't really fit the roster either. The Bulls already have Lauri at power forward. Really, Patrick Williams is more of a power forward than small forward. And like we've been saying, Wendell is also more of a power forward. So not only is he older and on the decline, he doesn't fit the Bulls timeline, but he also doesn't fit the need that the Bulls are looking for that roster spot. Aldridge is averaging 13.7 points per game and 4.5 rebounds and less than a block a game and has the lowest PER of his career at 15. Aldridge is not a good defender. He was never really known to be that great of a defender, but at least in his prime he was slightly better, but not at his age. He isn't as quick on his feet as he used to be in defending on the ball or off the ball defense. And guys, what the Bulls need more than anything is a strong defensive big, which is why I've been saying a guy like Drummond makes sense, within reason, of course, because there are flaws to Drummond's game, and you don't want to give up too much for him in a trade. And I've got more in detail on that. I've had separate videos where I've talked about Andre Drummond. You can check those out if you haven't already. So I really struggled to see how a move like this makes any sense for the Bulls given the construction of their current roster, their desperate need for interior defense, well really defense all around, but especially interior defense, and then of course how he just fits their timeline. The guy is 35 years old. He's likely going to be going to a contender who can help with some minutes as a power forward off the bench, and to a team that is willing to give up younger assets or picks for him, which why would the Bulls do that when we're still building? So Bulls fans, I get it. I know we need a big man. I know we need a strong, experienced player who can play defense, crash the boards, block shots, and provide some reasonable scoring on offense. But Aldridge is really none of those things, not at this stage in his career anyway. The last thing we want to do is bring a former All-Star just because he's a former All-Star, but doesn't fit any of the needs that we're looking for. I've said it before, I don't think the Bulls are going to make any big moves at the deadline. I know after last night's game, a lot of you were commenting that we have to make changes, which I 100% agree with, but I really do think those big changes are going to happen in the offseason when we have flexibility with our cap space, having a lot of contracts coming off the books. And it gives the new front office an entire year to assess this group and come up with a strategy and path forward. If I had to guess where LaMarcus Aldridge is likely going to go, I would say it's probably going to be the Lakers. You know, have him be a backup to Anthony Davis and give them solid scoring off the bench. The Lakers obviously are contenders, you know, they're defending champs and likely could hand over a first-round pick or a young player to the Spurs, who are probably looking to rebuild at this point, especially given DeRozan will likely be on the move as well. That's just my opinion, though. I want to know what you guys think. Do you guys think or agree with my assessment of LaMarcus Aldridge and whether he actually fits the Bulls roster? Let me know in the comments. As I mentioned, the Bulls will be taking on the Miami Heat tonight. Let's please hope that we don't see a repeat of last night and hope the Bulls start out this game strong. I am curious to see what kind of adjustments Donovan will make after last night's disappointing performance. As always, I'll have a live group chat for the game here on the channel as well as on the Discord, so be sure to check that out. Be sure to subscribe if you're a Bulls fan and you enjoy daily Bulls content. Thanks again, as always, guys, for tuning in, and I will catch you in the next one.